Hi everyone, I wanted to sit down today and talk to you about some things that have made me happy recently, that have brought a smile to my face. I tend to do this once every season, so this would be the things that I have been enjoying during the summer months, because autumn is definitely drawing in. Did you hear that? I never know if certain sounds pick up on this camera. There are parakeets right outside the window that are being quite loud. I tell you what, let me record it on my phone and then I will insert it here. They are green birds on green trees, so I'm not sure if you can actually see them here. Mainly I think this video clip serves as a reminder to myself that I need to clean my windows. Anyway, parakeets are everywhere in London, if you weren't aware, and people don't know where they originally escaped from, but they have bred like crazy, and I really like them, though they do scare away some of the other birds, which feels a little bit mean. Anyway, what was I saying? Yes, today I'm going to be talking about things that I really have enjoyed recently, things I've been watching, things I've been wearing, things I've been playing, things that maybe you might like to try out too, because they may bring a smile to your face. And 2 weeks ago, I uploaded a reading vlog, and at the beginning of that reading vlog, I showed some scones I had made, and I had so many messages from you asking for that recipe, and it's a super simple recipe. So I thought after I've talked you through the things on this list, we could go into the kitchen and I'll show you how to make them. That's it. That's what this video is going to be. So pull up a seat. I would love to know things that you've been enjoying in the comments section down below. So let us begin with things that I have been watching, that Mr. M and I have been enjoying. The first one is a really obvious one, and I feel like by this point, if you haven't seen it, it's because you probably don't want to, but I have to mention it anyway because it's definitely a favourite, and that is Inside by Bo Burnham. If for some reason you haven't heard about this, it is a 1.5 hour comedy special that Bo did on Netflix, and I wasn't actually familiar with him as a person before this special came out. I just heard lots of people talking about it, so after I watched it and loved it, I looked at, did a deep dive into who he is. And if, like me, you weren't aware, he used to be a huge YouTuber back in the day, like when YouTube was just starting, and he uploaded a video of a song to send to his brother because it was a free place to upload videos. It wasn't that he was trying to share them with the world, but it kind of exploded, and his earlier content is not good and has not aged well at all. He has learned a lot, changed a lot. It's quite an interesting trajectory, actually. So he was 16 years old, a kid in his room with a piano, and then he did some TV shows. He wrote a TV show, and I think that's available on YouTube. Then he did some stand-up comedy in his 20s. Then he disappeared for about 5 years because he was going through a really not great time mentally. And then he was gearing towards coming back to doing stand-up comedy. And he actually wrote and directed a film, which I'll speak about in a second. Then was in Promising Young Woman, which I have seen and loved, and just hadn't made the connection between him and that film. He is the main boyfriend in that, which is a fantastic film, which came out, was it this year or last year again? I feel like time means nothing. Anyway, he did that, and then his main comeback was in summer this year, where he brought out a 1.5 hour comedy special called Inside, which he filmed during lockdown in a room that's attached to his house, and he wrote songs about social media and growing up. And it's really, really funny, and also in some parts just really sad. There are parts of that that just make me cry, and I listen to the soundtrack of that every day, pretty much, at least one song every day, and have a giggle or a little cry to myself, and I have really, really enjoyed it. So if you have heard about it and not kind of been bothered about it because you think there's so much hype, I would say the hype is worth it, and definitely give it a go. If you exist in social media spaces, which you clearly do because you're here, then I would recommend checking that out. And because I watched and loved that, and then looked at other things that Bo had done, I discovered that he'd written and directed a film called 8th Grade, which I had never heard of before, which I think is on me because I think it was quite a big deal when it came out, but it passed me by. It's on Netflix, and it's really, really good. It is a very uncomfortable film, deliberately so, because it's about a teenage girl in 8th grade, who has started a YouTube channel trying to teach people how to be confident, but she's not confident herself. So we see both the channel, and then that's juxtaposed with how she is in real life. But the way it's filmed feels very organic, and we are forced to exist in all the awkward spaces that she would probably prefer that viewers don't exist in. We all remember what it's like being a teenager, right? I certainly don't want to go back there, and that is what this film embodies. And in interviews with Beau, he talked about how when he was doing stand-up comedy and talking about performance and performative nature of social media, he was speaking a lot to young women and teenage girls who were going through similar things to him as someone who was trying to navigate being famous and using social media. So it's something he was really interested in. He wanted to write a film about it without it being autobiographical. So he decided to write about a young woman instead of a younger version of himself. And I just think it's really good. I would actually link it with Promising Young Woman. Like, in my mind, they're thematically linked. Even though Promising Young Woman is, of course, mainly about sexual assault, that's not what Eighth Grade is about, but there is a lingering threat of male violence at points. It's more about being in unsafe situations or vulnerable situations and being judged no matter how you react, because society is just primed to judge you no matter what you do, because in this case you're a teenage girl and you're trying to navigate life. So I just loved it. I would highly recommend it. Moving on to lighter things when it comes to TV, Mr. M and I watched Lost in Space. I didn't watch the original TV show. Is that from the 70s? I can't remember, but I remember the film that came out in the early 2000s with Gretchen Wiener, can't remember her name, but from Mean Girls, and Matt LeBlanc and Gary Oldman. It was a pretty terrible film, but fun. But they have since remade it. It's a TV show on Netflix now. Good family fun. It is quite cheesy in places because it is a family program, but if you want to watch something and know that most things are going to end up, you know, okay, then this is for you. It's about the Robinson family who go into space and they get lost in space. They get separated from their fleet of spaceships and they have to try and overcome lots of different things. I've immediately forgotten the name of the actor who plays the dad, but he plays Mr. Rochester in my favourite adaptation of Jane Eyre, and I think he's great in this. And yeah, I just really love it. Yes, it's cheesy in places. I don't care. Then a strange recommendation from me, not something I thought I would be recommending here, but something that I watched and really loved. Mr. M and I were very surprised, and that is Clarkson's Farm. This is a TV show with Jeremy Clarkson, who I do not like, running a farm for a year. He owns a farm in the Cotswolds and has for years and years, and other people have run it for him. He just owns it. But then in 2019, he decided, I want to try and run this farm myself for a year. I've heard it's hard, and I've heard that due to Brexit, there are lots of things in place that annoy farmers, that make things difficult and very bureaucratic and stuff like that. He's like, I want to see if that's true. So he decided he would run his farm. And he actually runs it. I was skeptical when I started watching it, thinking, yeah, but how much work is he actually doing? He has some people helping him, but he is doing the work himself. Maybe it's quite enjoyable to watch because all of the locals hate him. They think he's a very arrogant person, which, you know, he is. And he does annoying things like buy a Lamborghini tractor instead of just buying a normal tractor, and they all think that he's showing off. Because he is showing off, because that's what he's doing. But he also does learn a lot about farming, and I think it was a very humbling experience for him. So in that respect, it was interesting to watch. And we just became really interested in the logistics of farming. And so from watching that, we then went on to watch probably one of the most wholesome things I think I've ever watched in my life, and that is Victorian Farm. So I grew up in the northeast of England, and in the northeast we have Beamish, which is a working town, like acting town. I don't really know what you would label it as, but it is a Victorian town. Everyone who works there lives as Victorian people when they are there. They're dressed in Victorian clothing. There is a school there is a mine, there is a railway station, there is a fair, there's a working bank, a sweet shop. Like, you can walk around the town and pretend that it is Victorian times. It's great. I used to love going there when I was younger. In fact, I enjoy more going there as an adult, because when you're a kid and you go on a school trip, you have to have a school lesson, and the school lessons are really quite scary for obvious reasons. But if you go as an adult, you don't have to do that. And I love taking friends there. I took Mr. M there when we first started going out. We had a great time. I just love it. It's really fun. And I always want to go at Halloween because they have like a haunted Victorian Halloween. They also do Victorian Christmas. I think they also have sections that are set in Edwardian times there now, and also a World War section, I think. Anyway, I've only really ever done the Victorian stuff. Victorian Farm then is a old series on the BBC Two. I think it's from 2007, and it's 3 historians, Ruth, Peter and Alex, and they decide to live as Victorian farmers for a year. I don't think they actually sleep in the Victorian farm. Mr. M got very upset when I pointed out that was probably true because it's only 1 bedroom. He got really caught up in the realism of it. Anyway, they are during the day living as Victorian farmers for a year. They are growing crops, they are looking after animals, they are building things, they are cooking, they are protecting their home, and using all the tools that Victorian farmers would use. Obviously, because it's farming, there are animals involved, so that's something to bear in mind. But I really did enjoy watching it. I just found it super fascinating. I really would have loved discussion on colonialism though when we're talking about Victorian times, but the emphasis is on working class people in England in Victorian times. Still would have preferred wider context. Anyway, I love that. And then we started watching Edwardian Farm, which is the same 3 people going into the next stage of history and living a year as Edwardian farmers. There is also a Tudor farm, I think, that they did, and a medieval one. There's also Victorian pharmacies, so there are a few other things to unlock. The Victorian farm is on Prime, the Edwardian farm is on YouTube, and you can watch it, though the audio is a little bit strange. See what you think, check it out. I'm just looking at my list. I think that's the only TV things that I had to tell you about. Editing Jen here, because I forgot to tell you about 2 shows. The first one is World's Toughest Race Eco Challenge Fiji. It's a group of teams from around the world who are traveling 700 kilometers roughly in 7 days, mostly without sleeping. They're running, hiking, rock climbing, building boats, rowing. It is absolutely ridiculous, dangerous, fascinating, heartwarming. Loved it. Definitely recommend that. And the other one is something completely different, and it is a comedy series called We Are Lady Parts. And I just adored this show so much. All the characters are wonderful. It is about a female Muslim punk band, and it has queer representation, and it's just really about female friendship, and I just loved it. Go check it out. It's great. I want to marry every single character. The end. That's all the TV stuff. So let's move on to things that I have been wearing and enjoying. Let us begin with wigs. I feel like I have cracked the kind of wigs that I like to wear and how I like to style them. So I would like to do a wig Q&A soon, where I answer questions about styling cheap wigs, because all the wigs that I own, as you can see up there, are 20 quid or less. So there are tips and tricks that I have learnt over the last few months as to how to make them look the best that they can, given that they're not the highest quality. So if you have any questions about alopecia or wearing wigs or whatever, leave those in the comment section down below. I also put a call out on Instagram, so I already have some questions, but if anyone else has any more, you can leave them in the comment section and I will do that soon. So I've enjoyed this. I've also got a purple version of it here, and the 80s wig that I bought not that long ago, which I very much enjoy. As for wearing things, I actually think I put this in last favorites because I discovered a type of shirt that I really like, and it's by Thought Clothing, and it's called the Larissa shirt. I'm just thinking, is it Thought or is it Sea Salt? Let me check, because I always mix those two up. It's Sea Salt, it's not Thought, but I do have something by Thought to recommend as well. So this is a Larissa shirt, and this here, one that I prepared earlier, is also a Larissa shirt. So these are ethically made shirts, and I really love them. They're quite lightweight, but I think in the autumn I could wear a vest top underneath and they would be warmer. You can crinkle dry them, or you can dry them straight. And what I have done is I bought this one and this one on eBay. They have quite a few on there. If you search for Larissa shirt, they just do these great patterns, and I just really like them under dungarees. And I've been able to buy this and this, I think, for about £15. If you buy them full price, they're about £40, but I've enjoyed perusing eBay to try and find some, and then thought I have a recommendation which I know I've mentioned a few years before, but I'm mentioning them again because I purchased a few more of them, and these are their socks. These are bamboo socks, so they are sustainable, and I just really love them. They're super comfy and they last really well. So I bought a few more pairs recently. We've got these ones and these floral ones. I don't think that it's coming up, but these are bright pink on green, and then another green one. I like this colour green that they do. I love these, a garden on a sock. As for board games, Mr. M and I have not been very adventurous in our board games recently. We've mainly just been playing Hanamakoji and Battle Line, which are card games that we've been playing for over a year now, but they're super cheap. I think they're about £11 each, and we have definitely, I mean, I don't know what our cost per play is because we probably play Battle Line once a day because it takes 5 minutes to play. So it's a really good thing to play on a lunch break. But we have been doing more of the unlock escape rooms, which I've also mentioned on here before, but just in case you haven't heard me talk about them, I really recommend them. They come in a box. I don't have any to hand right this second, but they come in a box with a series of cards in, and then it's an app on your phone that times you as you try and escape using the cards as clues, and you have to solve all of these riddles. It's really fun. I really love them. I will link my favorite ones in the description box down below because there are 9 different boxes, I think, or maybe there are 8, and there's a new one coming out very soon, which I'm really excited about. I think it's coming out early next year. And what I like about them, as opposed to other card game escape rooms, is that you don't destroy the cards as you play them, so you can then pass them on to other people if you want to, which we've done with a couple of the escape rooms that we've played. Another favourite is just something that I heard, and I don't know if it's going to be a favourite, but I'm really excited. So just in case you hadn't heard either, Leave the World Behind by Rumaan, which is one of my favourite books of last year, deeply, deeply unsettling, has or is going to be made into a film with Julia Roberts and Mahershala Ali, and I am very excited, not so much about Julia Roberts, but I'm very excited, sorry Julia, about this film. That's it. That was just some excitement I just wanted to pass on to you. Very much looking forward to seeing how that turns out. And then finally, before we move on to the making of the scones, I have some nail varnish favourites that I wanted to share with you. So I bought 2 of Essie's summer collection. They're so good for bright colours. So this is a bright green, which is called Feeling Just Lime. Love the puns. And then this one is Juicy Details, and it's bright blue, and I just love these bright colours. But for more muted ones, I wanted to mention this company. Just knocking them over. They're fine, don't worry, nothing broke. I got an email from a company called Ashay. I thought it was Ash, but then I looked it up and it says that it rhymes with sachet, so it's Ashay, asking if they could send me some of their nail varnish. So they are a new company. They launched this month. They are a nail varnish subscription service, but you can also, or you will be able to also buy individual polishes. So you can sign up, and I think the polishes are £13 each, to receive 2 nail varnishes every other month. So you'll get 12 over the course of a year in 6 different packages. So they asked if they could send them to me. They are vegan, cruelty-free, 74% plant-based. They are a Black-owned company. They give 10% of their profits to charity, and all of the packaging that they use is recyclable. So I said, yes, please, I would love to receive these. And I'm actually wearing them right now. Let me take off this Neuroma bandage so that I can show you. It's kind of hard to show you actually, but I'm wearing a different colour on each nail. Is this gonna focus? Maybe I'll just show you the bottles. That's probably easier. Let me just show you the bottles instead. So I'm wearing a different colour on each nail, and I've been wearing these for nearly a week, and I did have to fix a couple of very minor chips, but I've been doing a lot of cooking and washing up and cleaning, so it's not surprising. So this one is called Ashbourne, which is a terracotta one. And then this I think is one of my favourites. This is Mary and Mildred. It's kind of this, how would we describe this? This dusty, pinky purple. This is a brighter colour, and then they have 2 shades of green as well. I will link their website in the description box down below. I've been really impressed with these, how well they went on, how well they've stayed. I love the autumnal colours as well. And I was grateful for them to have reached out to me because, you know that I love nail varnish. I wear it all the time. And I also don't want to lavish praise on companies for doing this, because I feel like representation should be the standard, but also credit where it's due. Let's face it, most companies would not send nail varnish to someone with ectrodactyly, missing fingers, to review, let alone then share footage of them wearing their product. And Ash with an E, did those things. So I think they're great. The nail varnish is amazing. Love the colours, love how well it goes on and how it lasts, but also appreciate the representation because it's super, super important. So go and check them out. I will link them in the description box down below. And they sent me with no obligation to talk about this or post about it, but I just really like them. So shall we move into the kitchen now and make some scones? Because I'm quite hungry. Let's go do that. Okay, I'm filming the voiceover for the scones right now. I'm also running a bath at the same time, which I hope you can't hear, but if you can hear, I hope it sounds like a relaxing waterfall. So firstly, to make scones, you want to grease a baking tray using some butter. Then you want to get out your scales. And I'm just watching this video to do the voiceover, and that took longer than I thought it would. And then you want to get out the flour. And then if you don't have enough flour and another open bag of flour is higher up, you want to gracefully climb onto your counter and get it down, okay? Then you want to measure out 350 grams of self-raising flour. Lovely. Oh, more flour. Yep, 350 grams. And then you want to add a teaspoon of baking powder and 85 grams of room temperature butter. And then you want to crumble that together so it's like a breadcrumb consistency. After that, add 3 tablespoons of caster sugar. And then you want to do something slightly weird. You want to measure out 175 milliliters of milk, heat it in the microwave for a minute, and then add a half teaspoon of vanilla essence and a squeeze of lemon juice, which makes like a fake buttermilk. It does make the milk go a bit lumpy, which may seem gross, but don't worry about it. That's what it's supposed to be like. Tip it into the mixture. Stir it all together. Oh, lovely, fast motion now, fast paced. And then once you've brought all the mixture together, you want to put a bit of flour on the surface, but not as much as that. That was an error that I made, that I realized when I started cutting out the scone. As you see, I'll cut one out and then decide it's not the right consistency and put it back in again and do it again. So I make really big scones. I only make about 4 from this whole thing. So I just pat it out so it's about 2 inches thick and then cut out 4. You'll have to keep folding the mixture back in again to make it the right thickness. Then after that, put the oven on 200 degrees, heat that up for 5 minutes, add the tray so that the butter melts, take it out, put the scones on so that the tray is hot. And you should use an egg to do an egg wash on the top, but I think it's a waste of an egg, so I just use milk and then put it in the oven for 11 minutes on 200 degrees centigrade, and they come out looking like this, and they're crispy and amazing, and I love them. You should let them cool for a bit. I don't think I let this one cool hugely because, I was hungry, as you can tell by the steam coming off the scone once I've cut it open. There we go. And then you add your cream and jam. I think, is it cream first then jam is the Devonshire way, jam first then cream is the Cornish way. I do it the Devonshire way if I've got it the right way around. I'll put it on the screen if I haven't got it the right way around. But yeah, this is just honestly the best scone recipe. Oh, so professional, just seeing my hand instead of the scone. There we go. Okay. They are delicious. Very much recommend this recipe. And if you do this recipe yourself, I would love to know. Let me know in a comment down below. And what jam do you use? I always go for raspberry jam over strawberry. Not sure why. It's just my favourite. And there we go. Delicious. Thank you so much for watching this video. I would love to know what things you have been enjoying recently and what has brought a smile to your face. Let me know in a comment down below. If you're new to my channel, it'd be lovely if you would like to subscribe. Normally I'm here talking about books, but occasionally, like this video, I talk about other things too. I hope you're all having a good start to the week, and I will speak to you all very soon. Sending love. Bye.